In the next 43 minutes, you're going to get 11 years of insight on how to build a content strategy for your personal brand in 2026. Everything from what to create, how to create, and how it makes money. The reality is the plan you have in place is what's keeping you stuck. And so this conversation is actually going to show you everything you need to do right now to start building the personal brand of your dream. Welcome back to the department, Chris Poon Salon. And if you are a new watcher, this is the second episode we've had Chris, and it's so cool to see the journey of what content creation could bring. But so many people are getting started, like going into 2026, as they thought in 2025 and in 2024 and 2023, they're like, yo, this next year is going to be the year I'm going to go all in on content. But this conversation, I want it to be for people who are getting started from zero. That's what they think about in their mind. And as someone who has cycled through so many seasons of content creation, millions of followers across platforms, can you just define what someone should do if they're getting started from zero, building their brand or audience online?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for having me again in this beautiful
department.
department.
By the way, we're in New York. What area would this be called?
Manhattan.
We're in Manhattan, shooting on iPhones, recording on recorders, and no lights, no art.mp4, just two bros and a sick warehouse.
No, it's dope. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah.
But to start from zero, man, but the thing that we were talking about before we hopped on was there's so many ways to approach it. There's so many different avenues. There isn't one blueprint that you can take and run with. I think for me to end up back where I am now with Tender Care as the creative director, I think providing value, and everybody says that. It's become wallpaper to people at this point because everyone hears it. But what I did for them at the beginning, where I was like, hey, you guys are doing something incredible in a field that I know and love deeply, which is caregiving. Let me come and just help you out and tell your story. Let me shoot a free documentary for you and let's see what happens. And like, let me prove to you that I can bring you outsized results.
Yeah.
And with no upfront cost to them. Because I think a lot of people, especially most people, I would say, especially a lot of people watching this, they're trying to see immediate results. They're trying to get the bag. They're trying to do whatever they can to make content work for them and like squeeze out the money out of it. But for me, it was, let me prove to you that I can bring you results. And on the other side of that, then we can talk.
Yeah.
And because I was able to bring results to Tender Care, here we are.
Like, what year are you in? If you would consider yourself a content creator, what year, how long have you been a content creator?
This is my 11th year being a content creator.
Okay, so somebody's sitting at year -0. That's not even a number. Just what would you advise them to get started with?
Well, I think I'm really a big fan of what Alex Hormozi said about like, sometimes making content about just whatever it is isn't the right move. The right move is to go out and do something incredible to then go back and tell people about what it is that you do. Because I think a lot of people trying to make content now, it's like, well, I don't know what to talk about. Well, it's because you don't have anything to talk about. You think about your journey and the hundreds of videos. I was just thinking about this the other day. You've made hundreds, if not thousands of videos before ever telling people like, hey, let me help you out. But if you were to start, let me help you out, but you don't have the backlog and you didn't become the person that the other person on the other side needed you to be, what would you have to talk about? So I would say go out and do something, like build something for yourself. Go prove to your future audience that you have something worth telling people about.
So hot take, would you say sit out another year?
Yes.
Okay, so sit out another year. If you're in the place where you're like, I don't know what to talk about, sit. Let's talk to people who do have something to say. They just don't know how to show up. I think about like my sister who's been a hairstylist for 15 years. I think about, my friends who've been in real estate and just been doing old ways of marketing, and they have something to say. They just don't know how to show up.
That's good. I think, and again, a lot of the advice that I've been giving out lately is like, some of it feels very, very cliche, But it's because the simple stuff and the cliches, they work for a reason. They're cliches for a reason.
Yeah.
I think reverse engineering and figuring out exactly the result that you want so that you have the correct inputs to put in to get the result. If you're a hairstylist and your end result is that you want more clients, well, what type of inputs are you going to put in with content, with your marketing that's going to create customers to come in and get a haircut or get your hair colored.
Yeah.
So thinking about the end result and then moving backwards from there.
The number one question I usually get asked by people like you is, Omar, how the heck does your videos look and sound so dang crispy? Well, the reality is it's the equipment I use, and you'd be surprised how inexpensive it could actually be. So I've compiled all my gear and I've updated the list, and I want to give it to you. So if you're listening or watching this, just hit the description box below and I'll send you my gear guide for every budget. Now let's get back into the conversation. That's really good because, like, I mean, I think there's a end result people have in their mind, and that is usually just to make more money. If I post videos, then I make money, and it doesn't really work that way. And it works faster the more clear you are about what you want. Something you did, because you're and we'll break down kind of like your career again as a creator. But something you did was you turned on a camera doing what you were already doing. So like most people are already doing what they want to be seen. They just think it has to, like, they have to stop what they're doing and then shoot the videos. Okay, so like, can you walk through, like, give us a mini course on putting your work out there on social media and YouTube?
Yeah, I think the whole document, don't create movement is the right thing. That's what I did. I literally just chucked the camera in the corner of my grandmother's room as I was caring for her, or taking care of her, or changing diapers, or whatever it is that I had to do in my day-to-day task. Chucked the camera in the corner, put a mic on, and was instructing people on, this is how you swivel a patient out of the bed. This is how you transfer from the bed to the wheelchair. This is how you safely feed somebody. Just the things that I was already doing, I just turn a camera on and put a mic on, and you get results out of that.
So did you know what would work, or, because, like, how did you know that, like, what you were doing was the proper way of doing it?
In terms of caregiving or in terms of content?
Caregiving.
Yeah, I didn't.
Okay,
I had no idea if it was everything that I was doing up to that point was just me and my family figuring out what is the best way to keep my grandma safe, clean, and comfortable. And whatever way we were going to achieve that, that was the right way to us in that moment.
Yes, I love that. So mini course on getting started from zero is get a wireless mic, get a phone tripod, put it and have it just film you do what you already do.
Yep.
And then figure it out later.
Yep. I think people get, I mean, I know you've seen this a lot, especially with your background and making videos about camera and gear and all that stuff. Like, people get really caught up in the gear. Does it look right?
The editing,
all of it. And I love your advice of, if you have a problem editing, just do it in one take, or do it live. If you have a problem with gear, use your phone. Case in point, we're using phones.
I had a problem with gear.
So I think most people already have the tools that they need to go out to make content.
Yeah. So most people probably haven't seen the last conversation we did because what you're getting in this podcast right now, watching or listening, is you're getting 10 years or 11 years of insight from just feeling like, man, I should post content online. Because before your grandma, you were posting stuff on YouTube. It was still valuable information. You were posting producer, making beats, and all that stuff. Can you just break down the evolution of your content creator journey?
Yeah. So in the beginning, 2014, started making vlogs and made like maybe 100 vlogs, and none of them hit.
The beginning, there was vlogs, and the vlogs was Chris, and the Chris was the vlog. Go ahead.
And there were like maybe 50 views, 100 views max on the vlogs, because it was just about my life. It had nothing to do with the person on the other side. And as soon as I made that one piece of content about music production, like, hey, this is how I make a beat from start to finish, these are all the things that I've learned, instantly views were skyrocketed. And skyrocket means like 1,000, 2,000, but people were commenting and like, yo, would love to see you make a video about this. And then I made the second video about music production, answering homie's question, and then just kept the cycle going. And eventually I built up an audience of producers who was like hungry for content and hungry for tools that I could create, which then created a whole online business for me around music production.
Hey, Department fam, question for you. Based on you listening to this podcast, you probably are either looking to grow your personal brand this year, build your audience online, and just stop chasing business and start to have business chasing you. If that's you, I want to invite you to the Content to Cash Challenge. This is a 5-day coaching experience, a live coaching experience with myself that's done all on Zoom, and you get access to a private community, and it really is unlike any other experience that I offer. By the end of the challenge, you'll have unreal clarity on what you're supposed to do online, and you'll have the insight on how you can make an extra 6 or even 7 figures. Yes, I said 7 figures in your business this year. And if any of those things sound great to you, I want you to join the next Content to Cash Challenge. Scan the QR code if you're watching on a television, or click the link in the description. Once you go through it, go ahead and upgrade to VIP, because you'll get an extra hour of bonus VIP Q&A with me every single day of the challenge. And so looking forward to seeing you there. Let's get back into the combo. So you were just answering specific questions.
Just answering questions that would come in the comments, and those were many pieces of content that I found in the comment section.
With where AI is at right now and people going to AI to ask questions, I think about this often, but what would be your approach if you were like literally still going to do a music production stuff now? Would it be the same thing, or would you attack it differently?
It would be the same. Principles are principles. I would do the same thing. I would go and make a helpful video about what are the things that I think building in public has been really popular these days, but I think you should do more than build in public. You should tell people, what did you learn? What are the hardships that you had to get over in the last 30 days of building this brand, or building this YouTube channel, or making videos, or making music production? And let people know, I learned X, Y, and Z in the last 30 days. Maybe you should avoid doing those things so you could save yourself 30 days of heartache. Mm-hmm. So I would do the same exact thing. I would make videos, read the comments, reply to every single thing. And I loved, again, what you've said about you've taken time to respond to every DM and comment, because that is where the gold is. It's not anywhere else but in your comment section. And people complaining about, man, people don't interact with my videos, or I'm not getting comments, or I'm not getting... You haven't responded to the last 2 people that commented on your videos. So there's gold in there.
And then how long did it take for you to make new money with this, like when you were producing content?
Man, I'd say in the first 3 months, I was able to like really generate some revenue from not only AdSense, but like I spun up a whole new online business selling sample packs to producers online.
So sick, which everyone could do.
Everyone can do.
Like have a link in your description with the content you're creating.
Bro.
But if the goal is to fill the chair or grow your clientele, then obviously you want to think through, would you want somebody to fill out a form? Mm-hmm. You want somebody to do maybe an assessment? Maybe you have like a mini course where you walk somebody through, or a discovery call, 10-minute, 15-minute discovery call. I always find that like that's when you're doing content that really scales and you have the bandwidth to do discovery calls, like you can get so many people onboarded to whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you transitioned from producer content. Did you start the podcast you did with your cousins next? Or did you start creating videos with your grandma?
It was the podcast in conjunction with doing the production. So we started the podcast while the music production thing was killing it.
In the middle of the music production, why did you then go, let's start another podcast or another content format, another brand new YouTube channel,
I think because I had the play like running for music production. Like I pumped out 3 videos a week for 2 years straight. Like didn't miss a day.
So you built a skill that you didn't know was originally there. Mm-hmm. Like, I just want people to catch this stuff. Like, the skill of creating content, like that is a skill. Coming up with an idea and executing on the idea and then releasing that idea. And then now you're like, dang, I got this skill that I could now multiply in different forms. So you start a podcast.
Yeah, start a podcast, and it was less about like, hey, let's run a play here. Like it was more so like, this seems fun. This was before podcasts have taken off, and like people, this was way before all of that. And we just started a podcast and ran the same play that we did for music production. Created clips, got on a schedule, stayed consistent, all the simple things that everybody...
all the cliches that people don't want to hear.
And we pumped out a podcast once a week for, I don't know, like 3 or 4 years in a row.
So
never
good.
missed some upload.
No, I think what I loved about what I saw because of me watching from a distance, I was actually impressed because how long your podcasts were and the velocity of views you had. But then even the way you grew the podcast is being consistent, but also chopping it up and then posting like all the clips. Like you guys had clips that literally made me want to go watch the podcast. And that is a formula. Post a very, very, very long on YouTube, cut it up, and then let those moments drive people to the longs. And you did that, grew a community. How did you grow? Now, okay, so production side, started an online business, selling a digital product. Here we are with the podcast, doing it for fun, but then you still monetized it.
So we monetized it through AdSense, which was up and down, not as consistent, but we started a Patreon, which is the thing that really exploded.
It's essentially a paid community.
It's a paid community. We just put a paywall behind a Discord, and people seem to really enjoy just the community aspect of all the like-minded people who thought our jokes were funny. And then we just created a community of people that we're happily paying every single month for exclusive content, because we were doing an extra episode for them. But also I think what people were paying for was the community behind the paywall.
Yeah, which I think that's really good, because people think you have to have something to sell. Like, well, if I'm going to take $30, $40, $50 from people every month, and that's not what you're doing, by the way. You're not taking people's money, but you don't need to necessarily put something together. It could literally be you're literally just selling a context for people to connect. And the shared interest is this podcast.
Yeah. Everybody just, we rallied around inside jokes that we made on the podcast, which would then continue in the Discord. And what's funny, I don't know if I mentioned this on the last pod, but we had people find their spouses in the Discord,
bro, like, changing lives out here.
Changing lives, bro. Like they would find, a like-minded, because they were filtered out already. Like these people already had similar context, similar interests, and they were
same
just like,
humor.
Let's run it.
Yeah.
Let's get married.
Dang, Family Mart podcast making families. Dude, that's actually pretty crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So how much did you charge? How'd you come up with that price? And like at its peak, how much was it making?
So we had different tiers. The most popular tier was $10 a month. We had, I can't even remember how many members, but we were probably doing anywhere from $2,000 to $2,500 a month just from the Patreon alone.
So crazy. And you're not doing anything extra other than just having it.
Mm-hmm. Having it and maybe recording an extra 30 minutes to an hour for people a week.
And it wasn't like, and it also wasn't like a huge audience.
We were probably averaging anywhere from during like the peak of the pod, we were probably averaging anywhere from like 4,000 to 5,000 views a video, and we probably had 300 members total for the Patreon.
So crazy. I hate that you guys stopped because that 3,000 to 5,000 views, that was brand, not like algorithm. Mm-hmm. People were coming back for the pod, and I understand. Like, I mean, that's also something cool to get into. Okay, so you grow this community, and then you guys also started doing merch. Mm-hmm. Pros and cons for starting merch on the back end of a social media audience.
I personally hated it because you had to house everything and distribute it yourself. You could go third party, but it doesn't have the personal touch, which I prefer in merchandise. So it's a headache for me. I personally wouldn't do merchandise. And I just don't, I mean, we could have made the margins better, but it's just a huge pain to try and make merch.
It was like, what would you say net revenue from merch you guys did?
I mean, anywhere from like 5,000 to 6,000 total revenue for all of the merch. That's from like the beginning of the merch till the very end. And we did pop-ups and events and stuff. So that's included in that too.
Dude, it's so good. Here's where my brain goes. You were already hanging out with your cousins. You guys probably laughed and ate food and talked about culture and did that. So you turn on mics, you turn on cameras, and like, whereas some other people will do like, I don't know, I feel like many people do odd side hustles to make a few bucks here and there, but there's something about having a side hustle that is also very fulfilling.
Yeah.
And it's not like taking away from you. So you started this 30 to 40K a year podcast that was on track of scaling, like the whichever way you would have wanted to take it. And then after you said 3-4 years, you guys shut it down.
Yeah, we just shut it down. It was just too much. But I think we never, at least me personally, I never saw it as a side hustle. It was, we're already doing this. Let's just record it. And at its peak, I remember telling the guys often, like, the only reason we schedule time to see each other is because of this podcast. And what a blessing it is for all of us, because as soon as we stop recording, we won't see each other as often. And that was true. As soon as we ended it, you know, it's tough to like make time to see the homies if there's nothing, you know, that's anchoring it.
Now you're in New York, working at another company. Jay's getting his barber's license.
Right. It's just like we're living different lives.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So,
really cool though. I think there's something good about motive there. Like, don't be apologetic at the desire for money. But if you have an audience, there's a way, there is money there, email list or even just viewers. So you shut down the podcast and then you start posting short form content with your grandma because you're doing caretaking content. And this is kind of where, you know, we can like talk into like how this turned into a crazy opportunity. Yeah. So you start filming yourself with a camera, wireless mic, just showing a side of your life that was already the case.
Yeah. I think the theme of all of this is I was already doing this. I was already making music. I was already hanging out with my cousins. I was already helping my grandmother. Let's just film it and make content out of it. So I think that principle of just film whatever it is that you're doing already to make content, so you don't have to like create, you don't have to go and like build a whole production team to like make content, is that's the theme.
What did you do those days? Did you know in the moment as the lighting dynamic changed? Did you know in the moment that what clips should be posted? Because let's take my sister as an example. She wants to post content of her doing hair, which she only does once a week at this point in her career. But like, is she supposed to know which thing from the day should be posted? Like what to capture? When did you know to turn on the camera? I'm not getting into like the nitty gritty because that's just where people.
Well, I think where I always go is I just err on the side of record everything. One, because it makes it easier for you in post because you have everything to filter through, and you never know, like at the beginning of the cut or the beginning of the session could link with what happened at the end, because the story is actually really cool to tell it in that way. So my approach was always just like, let's just record everything and figure it out in post, which I know some people they like to be spot on with like, what am I about to film? But I think when you're filming everything and documenting everything, it's just easier to just record everything and figure it out in post.
That was good. I think something I would do, knowing what I know now, is doing what I just did here in New York. And I would actually buy a separate phone as a camera. Like, do you have $1,000? Or you can buy last year's phone. Do you have $600? Don't buy whatever the new craze, like Pharrell's new Adidas jellyfish shoes, you know, like buy a separate camera, keep it on airplane mode. And you could trust that it's going to capture the stuff without having to get text messages and stuff. But I think the accessibility of getting started, you know, you clicked on this podcast because you're like, man, like 2026 is going to be my year. And we're saying what 2025 was your year. You just didn't have a camera on, and find the flow by just the go.
Let's go. Let's go.
Okay, so you essentially built a brand around caregiving and Alzheimer's, and the industry took notice of who you were because you were being invited to do stuff.
Yeah.
Like, did you foresee that stuff when you, yeah.
Absolutely not. And I'm glad that you asked that, because I was going to make a disclaimer for people watching me. Maybe this is your first time ever interacting with me on camera, but I never set out to build a brand around being a caregiver. I was just documenting my life and creating content because that's what I love to do. I love telling stories, and I love the raw documentation and just being who I already am in front of the camera and posting content online. Like that is what I love to do.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't like in my room making up a master plan. Like, yeah, as soon as I post this first video, that's going to get 1 million. Like I'm about to be invited to CareFest 5 years down the line to like go speak on a stage. None of that was in my foresight.
Yeah.
I just decided to share the raw life of a caregiver, and people seem to really notice. And I think what people gravitated towards was, one, I was a young male. I was like in my early 20s, and which is, you know, this field is dominated by like older women. You don't really see men being caregivers. You don't really hear that. So I think when they saw that, and they saw that I was like making this really difficult thing fun. I was like telling jokes. I was making fun of myself, using fun music, like using slang, like doing all kinds of things that are really unorthodox.
AKA just being you.
Just being me, yeah. Right, unorthodox.
Yeah.
Yeah, just being me in front of the camera.
Yeah, everything you listed, people would probably think going into it like would disqualify you, because I mean, we're all unicorns. No one's necessarily like us, and if you want to blend in, then try to be different, then you'll blend in. But if you're just yourself, you'll be surprised, dude. Like when I start looking around and I'm like, dude, once you really just remove all the excess stuff that you're trying to be, you start to look around and you're like, dang, nobody really looks like me or sounds like me or does it like me or talk like me. You're fast forward, you're going to speak on a panel. You said you're going to do an event with Hillary Clinton, which is like, what in the world is happening?
Would have never thought that I'd be in a similar room with people like that. But that's where my life has taken me. And again, it was never like written down in my master plan to end up here. But I think just being myself, having the skill of creating content, and that skill being valuable to a company like TenderCare or other people like companies that put on stuff like CareFest.
Yeah,
they took notice and they want to learn.
Yeah. So last time we had this conversation, you were just trying to figure out what like this next season of your life would look like, and in that time you said you made a documentary on this company. What you just found?
Well, they reached out and they were like, hey, we see you're killing it. Would love to talk about working together.
So then they fly you and the homies out to New York.
They flew us out to San Francisco, to meet the CEO and founder, Shauna.
Yes.
And I was like, hey, let's tell your story of being a caregiver for your dad who has Alzheimer's, who is in mid-stage Alzheimer's. She's been a caregiver for the last 14 years. Nobody knows who she is. Nobody knows the story because she hasn't taken the time to tell it. She's too busy building a company.
Yeah.
And I was like, let me go and help tell your story. And we went to San Francisco to film what a day in the life was like as a CEO and as a caregiver for her dad. And we made a documentary for her.
So you make this documentary. At the same time, you said you signed a book deal. These are all things that happened right after we did our thing. So like, did you ever think you'd ever sign a book deal?
Come on, bro. Nah. I mean, ever, no. I never thought I'd be writing a book, let alone get a book deal.
And like, are you okay to share like the range of what this book deal looks like?
It's in the high six figures, more than 150,000 for the book deal.
So you 6-figure book deal because you threw on a camera. Dude, it's just crazy. Like, life is crazy, bro.
Life is crazy when you turn on a camera and make content.
Yeah. And if it feels late, I think it's still early.
It's so
early, it's
bro.
crazy. Like, it's crazy to think like you didn't miss the train. Like AI, dude, what's funny about AI too is just like AI is not replacing what we're talking about. Like AI couldn't have captured this podcast right now. AI couldn't have made this conversation happen. Like it just, the way it happened was because of human doing stuff. But so you 6-figure brand deal, and then you get this opportunity where they offered you a position to be the creative director. And they saw the way you built your brand and the skills you possess that could be used to scale this company.
Yeah.
So, talk about how that even like came about.
Sure. So by the way, they didn't offer it out right out the gate. I want people to really understand, because I get a lot of DMs now, like, because they see that I'm working with this company.
Sell out.
Yeah,
no, I'm just kidding.
And people are like, "Yo, like, how did you do that? Like, how do you get to the bag? Or like, what did you have to do?" And I was like, I had to continuously show up and be consistent and be the guy that would be willing to do things maybe without pay, because I really cared about this company and what they were trying to achieve.
And by the way, did her or the tender care, like, did they ever like comment on your stuff consistently?
No.
Like, you didn't even know they existed. And like, this is like, people are watching. If you just commit to being consistent, people will watch what you're doing. And I'm not even one to engage much, you know, but okay, keep going.
Yeah. So we made this documentary, we put it out there, you know, everybody's really happy about how it went. And I was like, let's continue working. I never asked for a position up front. I was just like, let's keep figuring out how I can help you guys tell the story. And we did a couple more projects, and then eventually I sent them a pitch deck. Me and Merce came up with a pitch deck and was like, yo, I think I could be your guys' creative director. And they were like, well, think about it.
Hey.
And then a couple months later, we ended up figuring out a deal, and they, you know, welcomed me as a full-time employee number 7. And I've been helping them out ever since.
Dude, it's so cool because most people want to get into content creation and build their personal brand to like build their own thing. And I actually don't know if there's such thing as anyone being successful building their own thing. Like, one would even look at what I'm doing. They're like, Omar's building his own thing. And it really is like, I'm really building other people's thing with my thing is just to do that. And that is why it's successful. And like whatever conclusion we have in our head from getting started, because if we think about it, the reason why somebody's listening or watching this and they're stuck is because they are married to a conclusion that they don't know is true, right? Like, but like it's like what I'm trying to say is the biggest thing you're doing by showing up consistently is creating opportunity. And I found that more than money, more than scaling a business and all that stuff, relationships, connections, networking, serving, giving value into an industry that in a way they'd never seen it before, bringing a fresh take on something. There's nothing new under the sun, the Bible says, but something we can do is share a fresh perspective. All those things are way better than just get the money. And most people don't take the step to be consistent because it doesn't feel like it's worth their time. But you have a poor perspective on time and money to begin with. It's everything we're talking about. Would you say now, looking back, it was worth the time?
It was 100% worth my entire 20s.
Yeah.
I dedicated my entire 20s to this process.
Yeah.
And I'm just now reaping a little bit of the reward.
Yeah.
Both of us
100.
are so early in the process.
Yeah.
And I was just talking about this last night that you tell a young person that and they're like, yeah, whatever, bro, let me get the bag.
Yeah.
But it isn't until you feel the hardship of the 5-year, the 6-year, the 7-year where you're like, wait, patience is actually the game here. That's the real game. And the gain from the early stages is not worth blowing to not receive the reward at the end. So be patient. And I know it's difficult for young people hearing that, or people early in their process. They're like, bro, I'm trying to cash out now.
Yeah.
But really, I'm telling you, like, after 11 years of creating content consistently and building relationships, patience has served me so well.
Yeah, it's fire. Okay, so let's just say this job was off the table. Everything else, like it was, you were starting on a blank canvas. Like, what would be your blueprint, knowing what you know? Like it's December 2025. You're going into 2026. You're like, dude, I'm gonna now be consistent, but the way I'm gonna do that is this.
It would. I really think it would be. I would start a podcast.
Why?
Because it's the easiest way to create content and have conversations that you were already going to have with people. And the easiest way to get multiple forms of content. One, long form with YouTube. YouTube is king over everything, over all social media platforms. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what you like, the example that I provide online. Like, if you look at my content, it doesn't look like that I think that, but I know that internally that YouTube is number one for everything. And podcast, long form podcast gets you that, and it also gets you clips, and it also gets you paid.
Yeah.
You get paid to market your own thing. Tell me any other platform that really does that consistently. I can't think of one.
Insane.
It's insane.
Dude, this year we'll probably do 90K in AdSense.
To promote your own thing.
No,
bro.
insane.
It's insane.
Yeah. I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
Yeah.
But it's a whole play in itself. But I would
Start a podcast. What would you start a podcast about?
Man, I really don't know. I think I would love to, so I have a podcast called Keep It Moving. I don't really promote it as that. That's just the term that I've given it so that it shows up as a podcast playlist on YouTube. But I'm really interested in the 10-year journey of somebody, or the journey of you at the beginning of Think Media, and even before that to where you are now. There's so much wisdom in that.
Conversations about 10 years.
Yes.
10 years time. Keeping it moving.
That's so good.
Okay, so you're going to do, which that is brilliant, by the way, because I find that one of the best content ideas is just simply a time trade. So the there's this really famous video. It is 36 years of business advice in 2 hours, but if your whole concept and idea is around the idea of biggest lessons in 10 years, dude, I'll confirm that. That's like A1. Dude, literally me and Amanda were here in New York 10 years ago, November.
Oh, wow.
I have a photo. I'll show you later. But I took it in front of the Grace building because I had a little accessories company called Grace Brand. And like when I think about like who I was 10 years ago, bro, like literally like from this point, you couldn't even like imagine. And I actually wanted to sit down with Amanda and like shoot that video. Like, what has it been like 10 years from now? Because 6 years from that moment, I quit my job, or I resigned from my role at the church I was working at. And then the rest is history. Yeah. But the catalyst was a trip to New York.
It's insane. Which, by the way, I still have the dog tag from one of the pop-ups that you did.
Let's go. That's crazy. Yeah. Okay, so you would start a podcast. You would clip it up.
And I would spend 100% of my time distributing my content and then replying to whoever is coming in the DMs, in the comments. And then I'm making content. I'm filtering through every single comment that comes through as context for the next guest, to make sure that this person gets seen or this person gets heard on the next one.
Dude, so good.
Yeah, and that's it. And just run that play and be consistent. And I know we've said that so many times, but like, dude, you've been so consistent with your podcast for once a week, which is, by the way, people think like once a week is like, that's not enough. But like,
dude, literally once a week. We're going to celebrate 100 episodes this weekend from the time of shooting this podcast. And I just think about how like that was literally it.
Yeah.
Like I did this one thing once a week and it changed my life. And it was posting a very long video on YouTube. That's literally
having conversations with people.
Having conversations, and that's it. Like I'm trying to like, this, that. No, it's like literally that was it. And, but like the intentions were different. I told myself, I'm going to do this till Jesus comes back. That was like the business plan. Oh. So that's why it was like I was okay with mediocrity in the beginning, because like I always have next week's at bat, and like even when it goes crazy, like right now it's all grays and arrows down right now. If you know what I'm talking about, he's laughing because when you go on YouTube and you look at your stats and you're consistent, it's like this is a slump season. But there's slump seasons and there's freaking peak seasons, and even when it's a peak season, you still got to show up the next week, which just gives you, it's also the internal creativity to be able to have conversations and not say the same thing or package things the same way. I literally had a very similar conversation before this one with Callum Johnson, but it was a completely different conversation. So I think that's like the beauty of nuance and finding the nuance in the content you want to create. Don't overthink the whole niche thing. I love that you even thought up like the 10-year thing is really cool, because like that provides the context to every conversation, and who cares the niche? The niche is human.
I love that. The niche is human, right? And how much more niche can you get?
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, bro. Appreciate you. Hey,
Yeah.
legit. Like, this video was sponsored by TenderCare.
Let's go.
So, what's the ad read for TenderCare?
TenderCare is the #1 platform for all things caregiving. It helps you organize all your documents, and we connect you to professionals in your area. We make caregiving a little bit easier because caregiving is really hard, and caregiving is underlooked, overlooked, and undervalued by many, many people. And we will all experience caregiving in some capacity. I've seen it in my own family, and we're here to support you because I know what it's like.
Dude, you ever thought about the word caregiving it's like a double give, which is why it's exhausting.
So exhausting.
So there's care, giving. Like, I sound like I'm saying nothing, but but no, literally, it's like this concept that it's probably the highest forms of service.
Yeah,
it's not just that you care emotionally, mentally, but it's also care externally and a care that's shown. Love does, bro.
Love does.
Love is, love does.
Oh man, so
but dude,
good.
just proud of you and really pumped to see the journey and dude, shoot, we'll have you on a third time once the company exits or something. And then let's talk about the new venture.
You want to talk about patience, bro? Like, see me in 20 years, like when we exit.
Let's go.
It'd be crazy.
Shout out to New York and appreciate you. If you're listening right now, DM me and just DM me the word department fam and appreciate y'all. Signing off.